A community in mourning and demanding answers.
And we just want to know what happened to Nolan.
After the mysterious death of Mississippi teenager Nolan Wells following a boat trip with friends to Horn Island on the 4th of July. His mother contacted authorities late that night when he didn't come home.
Please report her 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing passing at 3 on Horn Island.
Christine Wells Wansley told us she got a call Saturday night from one of the friends Nolan went to the island with.
What did he say?
He said, "Hey, Miss Christine, have you seen Nolan or talked to Nolan?" I said, "No, I thought he was with you guys, you know." He's like, "No, nobody's talked to him."
Early the next morning, Nolan's father, Elmore, says his son's high school football coach took him out on a boat to search.
Got out the boat, walked the island, and then got back on the boat and went around the island.
Did you see anything?
Nothing.
No.
The Coast Guard and United Cajun Navy searching simultaneously, but it was a day later when Nolan's body was recovered.
There's basically a black hole between about 4:30 on the 4th of July in the afternoon until when Nolan was found.
Authorities have not released a cause of death.
Do you think there's a possibility that your son drowned accidentally?
Honestly, because of the way the stories are just so inconsistent and how that day went, it's just, you know, we can't say for sure.
His grieving parents believe race may have been a factor in his death.
I don't want to believe it is, but unfortunately, there's evidence to show that things like this happen. He just had a big heart. Like, to really know Nolan, to have him as your friend was just, it was something special.
Do you worry that he might have trusted too much?
Sometimes, yeah. And that was something we always talked to him about.
The engine barely makes a sound, a crawl. Something closer to a hearse than a rescue. Gliding across dark water at the pace of a man walking his dog. While somewhere behind it, on an island no one can reach without a boat of their own, a mother's phone is about to ring for the last time that night, with an answer she doesn't want. Nobody on that water is panicking. That's the part that should bother you. By the time anyone official writes anything down, the story has already split into two versions of the same afternoon. One version has everybody laughing, safe, headed home from a holiday on the water. The other has a body that will wash up 2 days later, with a mark on the back of its skull that no doctor, independent or official, has been able to explain. His name was Nolan Wells. And nearly a month later, the people who were with him on that island still can't agree on the order of events. The official record still won't name a cause of death, and a piece of audio nobody was supposed to comb through this closely has just cracked the timeline wide open. We're not giving you the whole picture yet. Not because we're holding back for drama, but because the details only make sense once you understand exactly how far apart these two stories really are. And once you hear it, you'll understand why his family is still standing outside a courthouse instead of getting to grieve in peace. Welcome back to The Crime Executioner. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe. We're not done with this one. Let's get into it. The call came in through a private towing service, not through 911. A young male voice told the dispatcher the boat was taking on water near Horn Island and that they were sinking. He said it more than once, using the word now, the kind of language meant to signal urgency. The dispatcher walked him through the standard questions. Membership number, location, how many people on board. He couldn't confirm a membership number of his own, but gave a name tied to the account, then corrected himself, then gave a name again. He estimated 7 people on the boat. When asked directly if the Coast Guard was needed, he said no. He gave GPS coordinates that placed the vessel just off Horn Island. The call was transferred to a local captain, who noted the caller sounded like a kid, panicked, unable to give full details, but insistent that the boat needed to be pumped out and towed back to the mainland. That call is now one of the most scrutinized pieces of evidence in the entire case, because of what came after it. The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources later pulled the boat's own GPS plotter data, the built-in tracking log that records a vessel's position and speed automatically, with no possibility of being altered after the fact by anyone on board. That data covers the exact window during which the distress call was placed. According to the plotter log, between 4:31 and 5:24 that afternoon, the boat moved a total of 2.7 miles. Its speed during that window never exceeded 4.2 knots. For much of it, the boat was moving at roughly the pace of a person walking. A boat that is actually sinking does not behave this way. Taking on water creates urgency, a race toward the nearest dock, the nearest help, the nearest solid ground. The data shows the opposite. Nearly an hour of slow, unhurried movement, followed by a sudden increase in speed to over 30 knots, heading straight for a dock. This is not interpretation. This is what the vessel's own instruments recorded, later extracted, converted into a readable file, and laid directly over satellite imagery by marine resources investigators. Two accounts exist from the exact same stretch of water and time. One is a phone call describing an emergency in progress. The other is a machine with no motive, recording exactly how fast that boat was actually moving. This is a video of Nolan Wells' friends on the sinking boat.
Vicky speaking. How can I help you? Hello, sir.
Hello. Okay.
How many adults on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like, guaranteed. I don't
All
have
right.
the tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 30 degrees by 46.72.
All right. 4672. All right. And you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
No, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right. Well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right. Looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right. Is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in
Okay.
17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
All right. Have to ask. What do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
All right. Where would you like it towed to, sir?
You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou Launch.
All right. How many adults and children on board?
No, there's no children.
So is there anybody on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question. Hello, can you hear me?
Jump in and pull the plug, Bart, while you're going.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many
what's
adults
going
on board?
What's up? There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hello?
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
All right, how many people, sir?
Like 7.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
All right, verify what boat's sinking.
A Triton, 22-foot offshore, 22-foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
All right. All right. Please hold. I'm transferring you to the local captain now.
Okay, thank you.
This is Captain Seth.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee-for-service come up under Jerry.
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat, and
Is it
he
Jerry?
said that Jerry. Yeah, he said
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back. So
All
I'm
right.
guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah,
Or,
they're in a panic. He's saying the
So-
bilge is not keeping up. I asked for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And, I get it. It's a
Okay.
kid. He just doesn't understand.
oh, okay.
Um,
Do you still have him on the line?
Yes, I still have him on the line. And, again, I couldn't find he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's, membership, so it's just under Jerry fee-for-service.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just talked to. If you want to, we're so tied up right now. We can't really do any non-member jobs right now.
Is Jerry a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over. I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well.
All right. And did you want me to look up Jerry's membership number or anything like that to see if he's up? I know you guys are
You can
swamped.
try this cell phone number.
Yes, sir.
Anything on this phone number?
All right. Yep. Jerry. Yeah, he's an active member. Hold on.
What kind of boat do you have on there? Same boat?
Yeah, he's one. Yeah, he's one of your members. Yep, 22-foot Triton. All right. I'll just disregard this one. I'm gonna send you over an accurate one under this Jerry Ackerson one. Okay, he's one of your members. You'll get in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, and yeah, just transfer this kid over whenever you get a chance.
All right, transferring now. Thank you again, Captain.
All
Stay
righty.
safe out there. It's crazy. Have a drink.
Oh, it's wild.
They do not agree with each other. 2 days passed between the distress call and the moment anyone found him. On the morning of July 6th, a National Park Service ranger was patrolling the shoreline near the northwestern tip of Horn Island. That's where he came across a body in the water, face down, close to the edge of the island. It was Nolan Wells. Word reached the family before most details did. For 2 days they had waited without answers, hoping the search would end differently. Instead, it ended with a ranger's routine patrol turning into a recovery. Jackson County Coroner Bruce Lind examined the body shortly after it was pulled from the water. On record, he stated there were no immediate signs of physical injury. No obvious wounds, no visible trauma consistent with a violent act, nothing that pointed investigators toward an easy conclusion in either direction. At that stage, all anyone official had to go on was a body recovered from shallow water near an island with no shelter, no facilities, and no cell service beyond a narrow margin near its edges. A young man who had been alive and accounted for on July 4th was now gone, and the location where he was found offered no clear story of how he got there. The how would come later. On July 6th, there was only the fact of his body, and a family being told their son had been found. That same day, Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter gave a short statement to the press. He said his detectives were speaking with people who had direct contact with Nolan on the day he went missing. Then he added a single line that would follow this case for weeks afterward. No foul play was suspected. He didn't explain what that judgment was based on. No timeline, no evidence, no reasoning offered alongside it. Just the sentence itself, delivered in the earliest hours of an investigation that had barely begun. For a family with more questions than answers, and a public already watching closely, that line did not land as reassurance. It landed as a conclusion, one that seemed to arrive before the facts had been gathered to support it. A crisis communications expert later reviewed the statement for CNN and offered a more precise version of what should have been said. Not that foul play was ruled out, but that there were no immediate, obvious signs of it. A small difference in wording. A significant difference in what it told the public to believe. The day after his body was found, the state medical examiner conducted an official autopsy. That was July 7th, one day after Nolan was recovered from the water off Horn Island. Under normal procedure, results like these are released once complete, along with a stated cause and manner of death. That didn't happen here. Weeks passed. The state's findings remained sealed, unreleased to the family, unreleased to the public, held back pending toxicology results that take time to process in any case involving a body recovered from water. For the Wells family, that silence became its own kind of burden. An official process was underway, but it offered them nothing to hold on to. No cause, no manner, no timeline for when either might arrive. So they made a decision available to any family in their position. They commissioned a second, independent autopsy of their own. That examination was carried out by Dr. Roger Mitchell, a forensic pathologist and president of the National Medical Association. The cost of the procedure was covered through Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights Camp initiative, which has funded independent autopsies in other closely watched cases. The family's attorney, Ben Crump, announced the preliminary findings publicly, standing beside Nolan's parents. The conclusion was almost identical to what the state's silence had already implied. Cause of death, undetermined. Manner of death, undetermined. Neither autopsy, official or independent, found lacerations, fractures, or deep tissue injuries on Nolan's body. No visible sign of a physical assault. No clear mark pointing toward how he ended up in the water in the first place. Mitchell's report noted one limitation directly. The toxicology results, the test that would show whether any substance was present in Nolan's system at the time of his death, had not yet come back when the preliminary findings were released. Without that information, a significant piece of the picture remained missing. Toxicology can indicate whether someone was impaired in a way that might explain how they ended up unable to get themselves out of the water, and if so, whether that impairment was voluntary or something else entirely. So here is where both autopsies left this case. Two separate medical examinations, conducted independently of each other, using two different sets of hands and two different sets of equipment, arrived at the same unresolved place. No obvious trauma, no determined cause, no determined manner. Two doctors, two reports, and still no answer to the only question that actually matters. What happened to Nolan Wells between the moment he was last seen alive and the moment his body was recovered from the water remains, medically speaking, exactly as uncertain as it was the day he was found. Warren Hudson was one of the people on that boat, and he has spoken publicly about that day more than once. Each time he has said something new. In his first public interview, he introduced himself as Nolan's friend. He said their friendship went back to the 8th grade. Years of history between them. He described Nolan as someone who seemed completely fine every time he checked on him throughout the day. No signs of distress. Nothing that suggested anything was wrong. That was the entirety of what he offered in that first sit-down. A friendship, a character reference, nothing about the boat itself, Nothing about the moments before Nolan disappeared from the group. In a second interview, he moved further into the events of that afternoon, describing the boat emergency in broader terms.
The last time I saw Nolan was 3 o'clock, and Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms, Katie. Nolan was sitting there, and the last time I saw him, I looked at Nolan, and Nolan was like shaking his head, laughing, and I was like, dude, you crazy. I was like just joking with him. And but anyway, Nolan, that was the last time I laid eyes on him. But when we were leaving, obviously, no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to, be there and asked, this is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. It's a very common thing, but Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling
for
Nolan to get on it. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this is the last time I saw him, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. And she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
Still, the most critical window, the stretch of time right before the boat left Horn Island without Nolan on it, remained largely unaddressed. It wasn't until a third interview, this time with podcast host Brandon Tatum, that Hudson offered an explanation for that specific gap. He said that at the exact moment Nolan went missing from the group, someone ran up to tell him his younger brother had gotten into a fight elsewhere on the island. His attention, he said, split in that moment. That was why, according to Hudson, he couldn't account for what happened to Nolan in those final minutes before the boat departed. 3 interviews. 3 different stages of the same story. An introduction and a character reference first. A general account of the emergency second. And only in the third, after 2 rounds of public questioning had already passed, an actual explanation for the one gap that mattered most. None of this proves what Hudson did or didn't know. People recalling a chaotic, high-stress day don't always produce a complete account on the first attempt, and memory under pressure doesn't always arrive in order. That is a fair possibility, and it deserves to be stated as one. But it is also fair to note what the public record actually shows. A key detail, arguably the single most important detail in the entire case, surfaced only in Hudson's third interview, after 2 previous opportunities had already passed without him mentioning it. Whether that reflects the ordinary imperfection of memory, or something else, is not something the record itself can answer. What the record shows is simply this. The explanation came late, and it came only after the story had already been told twice without it. By the time these details reached the public, Nolan's case had already become something larger than a single missing person investigation. The photos taken that day on the boat began circulating widely. In them, Nolan stands with his arm around his friends, smiling for the camera like any other holiday outing. But something about those photos caught the attention of people far beyond Mississippi. In nearly every image, Nolan is the only black person among a group of white friends. Ocean Springs, where the Wells family lives, is a community that is roughly 79% white, according to recent census figures. That context, combined with the sheriff's early statement ruling out foul play before the investigation had truly begun, was enough to raise questions for a lot of people who were watching from a distance. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump was already representing the family by this point. Reverend Al Sharpton also stepped into the case publicly, speaking at a news conference where he addressed the tension directly. He said the circumstances did not smell right. He acknowledged that some people were accusing him of injecting race into a case where it might not belong. His response was that The case couldn't be ruled racially motivated, but it also couldn't be ruled out. Not yet, not with so much still unknown. That statement captured where a significant portion of the public landed. Not certainty in either direction, but discomfort with how quickly one direction had been dismissed. None of this proves intent or motive on the part of anyone who was on that boat. What it does show is a case that, fairly or not, has been shaped by more than physical evidence alone. Mississippi's history, a sheriff's early words, and a set of photographs all became part of a story that was still, at its core, about a young man who did not come home. As public attention grew, so did something far more dangerous than speculation. Mississippi's Department of Public Safety Commissioner Sean Tindell confirmed that the FBI had opened a separate line of investigation. This one focused not on Nolan's death directly, but on threats. Threats made against witnesses in the case. Threats made against public officials. Threats made against the Wells family itself. Speaking publicly, Tindell placed the blame squarely on the spread of false information online. Rumors, theories, and unverified claims had been circulating for weeks, and somewhere along the way, they had escalated into people making direct threats against real individuals connected to the case. Tindell was direct about how seriously that would be treated. Threatening public officials, witnesses, or a grieving family is not commentary. It is a criminal act, and one the FBI intended to pursue as such. Around the same time, District Attorney Angel Myers addressed a separate set of allegations head-on. Some had accused her office of mishandling the investigation, of overlooking witnesses, of moving too slowly, even of concealing evidence. Myers released a public statement responding directly to those claims, pushing back on the idea that the investigation was being handled improperly or with any bias. Two fronts had now opened alongside the original case itself. One, an investigation into who was threatening the people involved. The other, a district attorney defending the integrity of the process itself, in full public view before the case had even reached a grand jury. This case is still moving, and the next development could change everything you've just heard. If you want to be here the moment the grand jury decision comes down, subscribe now and turn on notifications. This is not a case we're walking away from until there's an answer. As it stands right now, nearly 60 witnesses have been interviewed by investigators, a number that continues to grow as the case moves forward. The FBI remains involved, but only in a supporting role. Federal agents have assisted with digital evidence review, and now, separately, with the threats investigation, but the Jackson County Sheriff's Office has maintained that it is leading this case from start to finish, with federal partners stepping in only where their tools and resources add value. Once that investigation concludes, the findings will be handed to a grand jury. That is standard procedure in this county for any death classified as non-natural, and Nolan's remains exactly that: undetermined cause, undetermined manner. A file that, by law, cannot simply be closed on the word of a sheriff or a coroner alone. A grand jury will ultimately decide whether the evidence supports any criminal charges at all. No timeline has been given for when that referral will happen. No date has been set for when the state autopsy will finally be released to the public. In the meantime, Christine Wansley has taken a step of her own. She has filed with the court to be formally named administrator of her son's estate. Not a dramatic legal maneuver, not a lawsuit, simply a mother establishing her legal right to make decisions on behalf of the son she has already had to bury, while the system around her continues to withhold the one thing she actually wants: an answer. 16 days after Nolan disappeared from that boat, his family said goodbye to him. By the time of the funeral, none of the major questions had been resolved. No cause of death, no manner of death, no results from either autopsy released to the family in any final form. They buried their son without the answers most families are given before they're asked to grieve. Christine Wansley has spoken publicly about what that has done to her. She has described her own mind as, in her words, mush, an ongoing blur of emotions she says she cannot fully put into language. She has been careful to note that the weight of this hasn't fallen on her and her husband alone. Nolan's siblings are living through the same absence, the same unanswered questions, in a household that lost one of its own without ever being told why. There was no dramatic courtroom scene here, no verdict, no resolution, just a funeral, a family standing over a casket, and a set of questions that followed them out of the service exactly as unanswered as they were the day his body was found. Weeks after a 4th of July boat trip that was supposed to end like every other one before it, this is where Nolan Wells' case actually stands. No suspect has been named, no one has been charged, no official cause of death, no official manner of death exists on record. 2 separate autopsies, conducted independently of each other, arrived at the same word: undetermined. What does exist is a distress call that doesn't match a boat's own recorded movements. A sheriff's early statement that raised more questions than it settled. A witness account that changed shape 3 times before a key detail finally surfaced. And a family still waiting on a state report that has yet to see daylight. None of that is a conclusion. It's simply where the facts currently sit, and where they'll remain until a grand jury reviews everything investigators have gathered and decides what, if anything, comes next. There is no ending to deliver here, because the case itself doesn't have one yet. When that changes, this channel will be here to cover it, with the same standard applied throughout this video. What's confirmed gets reported. What isn't stays exactly that, unconfirmed until it's not.